Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. And I'm really happy to have you all here. It's been long-awaited moment. We've been preparing for this particular moment for a long time, and it's glad that we are able to communicate with you. And this is our eighth batch into BeSA program, and hopefully everyone is looking forward to a lot of learning and making a lot of new friends because there are a lot of volunteers who are going to help me today and help us all today to get started with this particular session. So I'll hope everyone can hear me okay. I'll introduce all of the other people who are there, but as a icebreaker question, I want to ask you a very specific thing about hey, what is your one activity which you performed for yourself this year? What was one single thing which you did that which was purely for you and not for anything else? It could be going to a vacation, it could be going through a training program, or it could be something else. So let me know what you have done for yourself in this particular year, and we will then discuss about lots of other interesting stuff as we move forward. Anyone? I am reading the chat, and while we do this, joining this, that's a good one. And while we do this, let me introduce other team members to you. So we have Prasad, who is with me, and we have other team members too who would be joining. Hey Prasad, looks you're
Hello,
joining from
everyone.
India.
Yes, I had to fly to India for a trip. So yeah, here I am. Hello, everyone.
Good.
Uh,
And we will introduce more people, and you could see a lot of travel thing coming up. Joining good grade school, that grad school, that's good. Sail trip around Manhattan Island, that is a nice one too. Got MBA from WCU. Congrats on that. Going for a run before work each day. That's a really interesting. That's what I have to follow too. And then lots of good things are coming up. So thanks everyone. Learned a prompt engineering course, that is good. Study, that is always good. Whipping, no problem at all on that. So let me talk a little bit on the BESA program, and then we will get started and we'll introduce other people too. So probably you have seen BESA program in some shape or form. So we have started this program in 2022, and then we delivered so far 7 batches, and this is our eighth batch. When we call a batch, that is where we take it into a 6 to 8 weeks or sometimes 12 weeks also, depending on the curriculum we are going to discuss. And so far, we are proud to have helped around 16,000 people in their cloud journey. And it could be technical, it could be behavioral, that is what we focus on. And we have a lot of people who are watching us afterwards also, like on YouTube. Once the live session is done, everything is available on YouTube, so people watch us there too. And we have a lot of people who join very regularly. Plus, we try to do one-to-one mentoring whenever we get time, though we are limited with our bandwidth. So these are some numbers which I'm sharing, and so proud to say that some of the people who joined this program and got understanding of the cloud and the behavioral tech and technical track were able to secure a job in AWS. Obviously, they did the whole heavy lifting. Maybe we were able to do a small part in their success also. So very proud moment for all of us. Prasad, you want to add something here?
yeah, like we have had people who have been joining us from the batch one.
Okay,
Like they have been
you're
continuously
on
coming
mute.
back to us, and they are continuous supporters for us. So yeah, it's great to see people from the previous
I'm not
batches
able to
coming
hear
and new
Prasad.
people coming. And we will go through the agenda for this week. We'll also talk about in a moment about what we have covered in the previous batches. So if anyone who is very new to AWS, they can go to the previous batches playlist. We did send an email to everyone with the previous batch playlist. So have a look so that you get up to speed on the AWS fundamentals, and that's when you will be able to understand better what we are going to cover in this batch, which is migration and modernization of workloads on AWS. Welcome all. It's great to have everyone. 500 plus people already joined it. So yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Okay, so probably there is some issue with my side, but I'll continue. And I want to introduce the team to you now. Like we have a lot of people who are helping us this particular time, and also some of them are like what we call a repeat offender. So will introduce them also. So let's talk about people who are helping us. So probably you all know Perna. So I'm going to add all of them one by one on stage, and I'll stop the screen share so that they can be visible to you properly. So I'm adding Perna. Hey Perna,
Hey,
how are you
hi
doing?
everyone. So glad to see and be here again. Thanks for
That
joining
makes
in
sense.
everyone
That
on a
makes sense.
Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of hard work goes behind the scene to get these program up to this particular point. So Parna played a pivotal role. Then I'm going to add few more people here who are helping us, probably Sharik. And if you could introduce a little bit about yourself, Parna, a bit of you, what you do. People may be new, may not know you. So just a simple 1-2 line statement about you, and then we'll go to Sharik.
Sure. So I'm one of the first beneficiaries of the BeSA program. I started in the first and second batch, and then I joined AWS thanks to Prasad, Ashish, and many other founder BeSA members' mentorship. And currently, I'm in the role of a AI Ops engineer at AWS, and I'm loving it so far. And this is my way of giving back to the community. Thank you so much.
That's a good spirit. Thank you. Sharik.
Hi everyone. So some of you might know me, and yeah, I'm basically an ex-AWS. I left Amazon last year. Now I'm running my own training and consulting firm based out of UK. We were part of the same team, and Ashish and myself, and of course we go way back there. Yeah, I mean, last batch I was not there, unfortunately. I was completely kind of missed the whole cohort, but this time I'm kind of planning that I should be there in almost every single session.
That
I'll
is
try
so
my
nice.
best. Thank you.
And now we have some people who have started helping us out in this particular batch. So Jeff, over to you.
Morning, afternoon. My name's Jeff Escott. I'm a principal SA at AWS. I work in our modernization space. Happy to be part of the program this time and working with everyone here. And I'll be doing some of the work and leading some of the sessions on the behavioral tracks in the future weeks to come.
That's great. Let me add Carol also. Hey, Carol.
Hey everyone, I'm Carol Shores. I'm a senior modernization solution architect with AWS. I've been with AWS for going on 4 years now, and have a lot of passion around event-driven architecture, serverless, DevOps, and really excited to be hosting some of the sessions later on during this BeSA program, and very honored to be here.
That's so great. Let me add Raj also. And if you could tell Raj which location you're joining from, we want to probably be a global audience here, so probably they would be able to relate.
Sure. Hey everyone, good day. My name is Raj Menon. I'm based in San Francisco, California. I've been with AWS for a little over 5 years. As she said, this is my first time. I lead a team of customer solutions managers. So we are the team that work with our customers to ensure that they get the best out of AWS. So happy to be here, and I'll be working with Jeff in some of the upcoming sessions.
Great to have you here. Coming to Kavya. Hey, Kavya.
Hey everyone, this is Kavya, and I am a solutions architect at AWS. I am based out of Austin. Like Parna and everyone, I love to give back to community, and I'm really excited to be here today.
Great. Happy to have you, Kavya. And then I'm adding Tabby. Tabby, you may be on mute. Okay, let's give it a minute.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Awesome. Nice to meet everyone. Tabby Ward, I'm a principal migration and modernization architect. I've been with AWS for over 5 years now. I'm based in Tampa, Florida, and I'm excited to be here joining the BeSA team for the cohort 8 focused on migration and modernization. And that's what I do on a daily basis along with Jeff and Carol. We help our enterprise customers to migrate and modernize on AWS.
That's great. So you could clearly see that we have a spectrum of people coming from different parts of AWS, different parts of cloud, migration and modernization being the centric theme as of this is cohort. But yeah, there are a lot of things which you can pick up from us, pick up from the collective group which is there. So keep your communication coming. We would be presenting the main session, but we are answering as many questions as we can into the chat. So all these experts are there. Pick their brain, build a relationship, maybe connect them with the LinkedIn so that you could get some information which you are looking for or some knowledge which you are looking for. So it's great to have everyone here, and we will keep coming back and forth on the camera depending on what topic we are discussing. So thanks everyone, and we'll probably answer as many questions as we can in the chat. So I'm removing others on the camera feed, and then we will connect on the actual content, and then we'll keep moving forward from what we actually need. So Prasad, let's talk a little bit on what we have covered in the last batches, so that anyone who is coming new and very new to cloud, they could go ahead and get more information.
Yes, sure. So in the batch one, which was around 2022 Q1, when we started, Ashish, at that time we started with uh, in the technical track on the cloud computing foundations, and on the behavioral track, like how you can become a solutions architect. So in every track, in every batch till now, we have always had two tracks, technical track as well as behavioral track, because as a solutions architect, it's an amalgamation of both the skills. You need to be a technical person, but you also need to have a lot of consulting skills so that you can work with the customer directly. So in batch one, it was all about the basics. From batch two, what we started doing is that along with covering the basics, we have also started covering one of the niche area in the technical. Like for example, in batch two, you can see for serverless, then we moved on to networking. In batch four, we did a reset about going back to the fundamentals. It's like back to basics, and not only the cloud computing fundamentals, but Ashish very expertly covered it, the IT fundamentals like data center and those kinds of things, the networking like IP address, CIDR. We covered everything from the very basics for people to start. Then we did a track batch 5, which was mainly certification focused. That was the cloud practitioner certification and SA associate certification. It was a 12-week batch, if I'm not wrong, and we helped people to get cloud practitioner certification in the first 4 weeks, and in the rest 8 weeks we helped them get SA associate practitioner certification. And this is the batch that I ask everyone to go and look at the playlist in case if you're new to AWS, so that you get your fundamentals right about the AWS. Then, no surprise, in the last two batches, we are focused on generative AI. First on mainly the theoretical part and concept part of it. And then in the last batch, we were doing a lot of hands-on workshops in Gen AI. So in case if you're interested in Gen AI services of AWS, look at the playlist of the last two batches. And in this batch, we will be covering the migration modernization. On the behavioral side, if we talk about, we have covered a lot of very topics, and we had a lot of different guests coming onto it. It focused on whiteboarding. It focused on having customer conversations. It focused on working backward. What a few of that we'll be covering in this particular batch also. It focused on written communication. It focused on public speaking. And one interesting thing that we have seen, which you will see in the last three batches, we have focused a lot on the interview preparation, that how you can prepare for an interview. And in the last batch, we actually covered end-to-end hiring process for a SA at AWS. So look at the playlist of those also. All of you'll be able to go to the playlist on our YouTube channel on which you are currently watching the live stream, and then you should be able to browse through those playlists and have a look at your own convenience.
Exactly. So yeah, there are a lot of material, and then old is gold kind of stuff here. If you're starting first time, there is a lot of material. If you're preparing for certification, if you are cramping up on Gen AI, we try to cover as much as we can. Now, talking about little bit about this batch, this is a shorter batch than what we had planned so far because of other commitment. It's a 6-week duration, and we would be live doing broadcast every Saturday. 2 tracks, a technical as well as behavioral track. Technical track will cover migration and modernization, and on behavioral track, we will try to cover what would be the essential skill for next generation SA, as we are seeing like a lot of AI specific things are happening, like AI, people say AI is taking over jobs. Is it true? What kind of skills we need to have so that we can be competitive in this age? So that is what we are going to cover. And this is the agenda which is also published on our website. So we will not go into the detail of everyone, but as you could clearly see, a lot of interesting topics which are lined up for technical as well as behavioral. So maybe you are migration expert, good, but you can learn from other skills like how to perform the workload discovery, how to do POCs, how to create target architecture. So there is a lot of things which we are trying to cover on a broad spectrum, and hopefully everyone would be appreciative of what the effort other team members are putting into on waking up on odd time zone, trying to manage the content, trying to answer question on the chat. So I appreciate everyone's contribution here, and I appreciate all you members also joining in, because without you the program would not be a success. And if you can contribute to your career for a single moment or for a single fraction, we would be so honored to do that. So reach out and see how we can help you out in your career journey. Now, how the sessions would be delivered? So probably I'll give a little bit brief so that it would be interesting for people to know. So we'll do a role play type of stuff here, right? Instead of saying, hey, this is a PowerPoint and let me go from point A to point B and bore you there, we'll do role play like a customer and an AWS expert trying to engage with each other, what they communicate, how they communicate, what things they say, what things they do not say, that we'll focus on. Obviously, there would be presentation. I'll show you some workshops if needed. There would be whiteboarding if required. And this time we are introducing knowledge checks also. So we'll do knowledge checks too. And there would be fireside chat also, so that you could go ahead and understand things from the industry expert or the leadership who is managing these particular cloud workload and then trying to get most of the cloud for their businesses. So we'll focus on that. Now, I'll let Prasad talk a little bit on the badging stuff. I'll quickly introduce. So what we did here, we are introducing 6 badges for each week. So with every week, you would be getting a certification you will be getting a knowledge check, and that knowledge check would qualify you to acquire one of the badges. So these are the 6 badges up for grab depending on how much you pass in the certificate into the exam and how much you are able to retain that knowledge. So these are the 6 badges, and somebody who is completing all these 6 badges at the end would be getting a certificate of completion. So once you pass all of this is you would be getting as a certificate of completion for migration modernization on AWS. So this is up for grab, and we want to ensure that all of you can get this and get and retain that knowledge. It's not like, hey, I understood it, now I'm okay. No, we want you to practice. So that's why we wanted to introduce knowledge check this time. Prasad, can you tell me a little bit on the logistics part of it, how it will work?
Yes, so all of you would be getting an email from this email address, bootcamp@techcreator.io. That's the platform we are using actually to do this quiz and give you the badges and the certificates. So you'll get an email like this, and once you get an email like this, you'll be able to click on any of the link like dashboard to create your profile in that platform. Right. So if you go to the next screen, so you will have to create a profile. So use the same email address that you have used to register for BeSA, because those email addresses are already in their database for you to get a OTP. So once you get an OTP, once you enter your email address, then you will be getting an one-time password to log into the platform. And once you get the one-time platform, you can check your email and get the platform and then log into the platform. In the platform, whichever badges you would get, you will be able to see it on the main screen, like your badge. I'll show you at the end also how the badge would look like. But Ashish, go to the previous slide. So here, if you see the Become a Solutions Architect Migration Modernization badge, or jump back in, click on that link. Either of that link would help you. Just click on that link, and then it will take you to the main portal, from where you will be able to access all the modules. Next screen, Ashish. Yeah, this portal. And here, if you see, there's a week-wise technical track. That's what mainly we'll be focusing here for the badges. The badges are mainly for the technical track, not the behavioral track. So click on any of those week. Click on the week 1. Once you are there, every week we will be enabling, Saturday after the live stream, we will be sending you email in couple of days, which would have these links for you to go and do the knowledge checks. So next screen, Ashish. So in the week, you will be able to see the video. We'll be attaching the video also here, but you can always watch it on the YouTube directly. But the link would be available here also. The slides would be there. And this is from where you'll be able to click on Start the Quiz and do the knowledge check. And once you do the knowledge check, then you will be able to get a link, and you'll be able to get that link will be kind of a permanent link for a badge like this. All right. And then you'll be able to share it directly on the LinkedIn also. So yes, while you are learning, also share your progress on the LinkedIn at how you are learning. This is really important for you to learn in public and build in public. That brings the visibility and the confidence, and also the community learning. So please keep engaging for all the 6 weeks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I always prefer to learn out loud, because that will ensure that, hey, I am consciously making effort to put my details or put my credential on the social network to look for the other people who got inspired, or maybe for potential employers too. So that's how it should work, right? So these are some details, and yeah, maybe it will be a little bit more details required. So feel free to engage us in the Discord channel, or maybe you can send mail at support@besaprogram.com, and we'll try to respond as much as we can. So this probably would be a good way of interacting and then getting most of it, and so also sharing it in public, that how you were able to get these certificates and then how you were able to pass these knowledge checks. So that's a good thing. So thanks for that, Prasad. And that ends the program related information, and a lot of questions are there. Go ahead, Prasad, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, just in case if someone has not received email, check your spam. It will be there because you sent the email to everyone, or ensure that you're checking the right email with which you have registered. And even if that is not happening, we will keep sharing all the details in the Discord channel. So do, be on the announcements tab, have a look at the announcements tab. All the information will there be in the announcement channel, in the Discord channel.
Yeah, means from the email Prasad meant the program email. The quiz emails will be sent to you a little later. So quiz emails should be hitting your inboxes in little some time. We are still finalizing some details at the back end, and we still have registration happening. That's why we waited. But yeah, quiz emails would come soon. The program emails about the joining and the Discord channel and LinkedIn, that is already been sent. So check your spam folders there. All right, good. So thanks everyone, and we will now kick start. We had to take a little bit of time to explain you about the program because a lot of new people are there. Then we are going to now talk about migration to cloud. So now I'm going to bring on stage Parna, and who would be acting as a customer, and she would ask some intriguing question. I will try to act as an expert. Hopefully, I will be able to answer some of the question. But yeah, let's start with a role play. And Prasad is there on the backstage to help you answer as many questions as you can have. So let's get started with the welcome, Parna, and happy to have you. Let's discuss for the next 30 minutes or so how we can help you with your migration journey to cloud.
Sure, Ashish. So thanks so much. I really need the consultation here, and I really need to know what's really the benefit of us moving our workloads to cloud.
Yeah, means the why is always important. I always say that, hey, technology is good, but it is not good if it is not able to solve a business problem. So we need to always focus on why somebody is doing it, why somebody is doing a certification, why somebody is moving to cloud. Let me try to answer that in my peculiar way of giving you an analogy, right? So
Sure.
most of the people also migrate. Like, let's consider why people migrate. And when I was putting together this slide deck, I found a very beautiful photo, and probably it captures the detail of migration. If you look here, a mother is sending her child outside and probably to get more stars, like to get a better life, or maybe to get a better accommodate better things in the life, or maybe a better place to be in, or better education. So this is what people migrate for. People migrate to make tomorrow which is better than today. So that is the main motivation. Everyone wants to progress, and that is what the same is for migration too. And it's not just Parna for the people. Probably you have also heard about that birds migrate too. So when there is a
Yes.
problem or weather is not very suitable for them, there is scarcity of the food, then birds also migrate. So idea is same. We want to make tomorrow better than today. And probably people may migrate also, like countries maybe migrate cities, maybe they could migrate from one home to another home. So it depends. So as an icebreaker question for everyone on the chat, if let me know in the chat if you have migrated a country or a city or a continent. So put that into chat while we discuss all this information. So we want to keep it interactive. So put your information on the chat if you migrated a country or a continent or a city. All right. So that is why people
Thanks for the
migrate.
analogy. Yeah, Ashish. That really helps to really understand why migration is important. But tell me, in terms of my business, how will this help me in my long-term strategy? What kind of business outcomes can I receive from this?
Makes sense. And this is what a customer should ask. And customer asks this why? Because this is important for them. So why you want to move your legacy application and data to cloud? What could be the reason? Let's try to understand from a high level, and then we'll go into the technical details associated with that. All right. So probably you are running an application. It could be Windows, could be SAP, VMware, databases, mainframe. This is just some common ones, but there can be any number of applications which you are running. When you're running it in your own data center, there are always challenges of scalability, and then performance, and then cost, and then optimization. And that's why a customer may want to move their application to cloud, and their application become a modern application. But obviously it will not happen overnight. There would be some goals you are looking for. And what could be some goals? Those goals could be to accelerate your business transformation. A lot of people are going towards Gen AI journey, right? And then maybe your current data center do not support those type of things as of now for using Gen AI. So that's where people may want to accelerate their business transformation. Maybe they want to have increased agility and innovate quickly. That we all need to get past the idea to production is very much important. Then maybe we want to reduce the operating costs. We do not have manpower to maintain the databases or maintain the old data which we have, or it could be to access cloud scale performance and operation. So this will give me a platform where I can create my application much faster, deploy it much faster, and my customer at the end will get better performance too. And then I would also be able to get the benefit of from all the cloud provider security compliances they provide. So that is a win-win situation if I migrate to cloud from my old legacy application. So that is why organization migrate to cloud. Does it make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah. And this will definitely give my organization a competitive advantage over other organizations. That really makes sense. But
Exactly.
we've identified a few of our applications and workloads to migrate. But could you give me an idea about a high level breakdown of the phases that we need to go through to achieve this?
Yeah, that is a good question, Purna. Like we cannot like wake up one morning and say, hey, let me migrate to cloud. No, we need to do preparation, right? And let me
Right.
put it in the same context of people migration. Like I am seeing the answers here. A lot of people migrated countries, cities, continent. So let me give you a perspective of it. I'll share my journey. So I moved different cities, different continents also. So I'll give you an idea of that how people migration is exactly similar to cloud migration too. Let's talk about that. All right. So let's talk about migration. So when I talk about a people migration, let's say you decided that, hey, I have to go to a different country or a different city and start my business there, or I want to start my new job there, or whatever it is. So you need to go through a phase of approach, right? So what that could be, you need to plan. You cannot just pack your bag, show up at the airport and take a ticket to the whatever flights is available, right? You need to plan for that. Once you plan it, then you need to prepare for that particular type of situation you are going into, and then you will perform the actual migration where you will be actually moving from a place to another place. Let's take a little context here that what will happen in planning and preparation and perform. So in planning, maybe you wanted to move to a different country. Maybe you are in a country, let's say, where there is no IT landscape too much bright looking, and you want to move to a different country or a different city. So you need to identify what skills are in demand there. What are the legal requirement, right? Because in every geography there are some legal requirement I have to follow. So we need to follow that. Now maybe I've planned to move to Canada, but maybe that is not a good weather I'm looking for. No offense to Canada people, but maybe I'm not a person who want to live into a cold place. So I need to check what kind of weather would be there. Will I get schools for my kid also? Will I be able to get a social circle where I can socialize? So I have to plan for all these things. Maybe I have a pet, and will that country allow me or city allow me to take my pet with me or not? So that is the planning process I have to do. Once I plan, I would now go ahead with the assessment of my readiness. Am I ready for this? Okay, so I'm going to a cold place. Do I have the clothes required for that? Okay, I'm going to a specific place where I need a specific type of visa. Am I ready for that? So I need to check where I stand today and what are my gaps. So identify the gaps which are required, which are there, and then I would then start performing. Okay, so I need a visa. So I'll secure the visa. Maybe I need to get a health insurance. Maybe I need to take the cash exchange because that is a different currency we are operating in. I have to book my ticket. I have to take my clothes according to the weather there. So that is what I would be doing as a prepare. So I identified the gap which I had. I prepared that, I fulfilled those gaps, and now once I fix those gaps, I'm ready to migrate. And when the time comes, that is actually we will start performing the migration. So we will then hand over all our packages to the shipping company, carry the important documents with you, and then follow the best practices for the migration. And that's how we will perform the migration. So this is the three-step process: plan, prepare, and perform. If I talk about the official AWS guidance, we talk about assess what is your readiness, then mobilize your resources, fix those gaps which you identified, and then step three is migrate and modernize. That is where you will move to cloud and start creating an environment which will be optimal for your application. So this is about people migration. Is this thing clear? I'll relate everything same into cloud migration too.
Sure, it does make sense. And I think making the decision is the first step. And I really like the way you broke it down. And maybe we can map it to how we do it for the migration as well.
Exactly. So same thing applies. Like you need to have a why. And that why would come from your assessment of your infrastructure or application, whatever you have. So you need to plan for your cloud migration. Same thing you need to prepare, and same thing you have to perform the migration, the actual work of moving your machines or application. So when you talk about planning, you need to assess your organization's current readiness for operating the cloud. So maybe I moved everything, but I have not trained my people. Or maybe I have moved my data, but it is not in the same format which is required for my compliance reasons, right? So I have to plan for that. So plan is where you will check where you stand from organization perspective, from legal perspective, from technical perspective, and then you would start finding out what are the gaps when I start moving to cloud. A gap could be maybe nobody knows how to operate into cloud in my technical team, so I will give training to them. Maybe my finance team is not ready to understand how the cloud billing works, so maybe I have to give training to them also, and then let them through a workshop or give them the tools required to understand how the cloud cost would look like. So that is I would do planning, and then I will perform a preparation. So we'll create a migration plan. And when I'm talking about organization, the big organization, they would not have just one or two applications. They may have thousands of applications. So this could be a 2 to 3 year or 5 year project to migrate. So we need to understand what are the gaps they have, how to address those gaps, how to be ready to find out the problems they have. And it could be environment related, it could be skills related, it could be technical, it could be behavioral. So we need to figure out all those things. And when everything has been prepared, then you will start performing your migration. And that is where, like somebody mentioned in the chat, 7 hours of migration. So yes, that is 7 hours of migration is what we use for actually performing the migration. So you start with planning what you want to do, what are the gaps you have to fulfill, and then you actually perform the migration. So in layman's term, 3 P's: plan, prepare, and perform. In AWS term, we call it assess, mobilize, migrate, and modernize. So these are the 3 high-level steps which you will be taking when you are moving to cloud. Does it make sense?
Great. Great. This really sounds good. Looks like we are moving from capital expenditure to operational expenditure.
That's
And
one
it
thing.
seems like I'm going to be reaping the benefits very soon and get a lot of cost savings immediately. Right, Ashish?
I will not be here like a salesman type of pitch. I'll give you the actual technical rationale behind it. So yes, you expect that when you are moving to cloud, your operational cost would go down, your capex will go down. I agree on that, but it will not happen overnight. Think about, let's say you have to move from country to another country. So you need to still pay for visa. Maybe you have to pay for ticket. Maybe you have to pay for hotel accommodation. So maybe for the first month, you will be spending more money than you were expecting, right? But then
Right.
you were getting a salary hike or you were getting a currency hike, and because of that your cost would be then better. So same thing happens into cloud too. What customers expect that, hey, maybe I'm spending this much money today on my on-prem environment, and when I move to cloud I would be able to get 40% reduction. Yes, it will happen, but it will not happen overnight. So this is what expectation is. And now I will tell you that what the actual reality happens, how their costs would come to this point, but there would be a bubble in between. So what happens in reality, you would see a bump of cost like this. What we call this bump is what we call is a migration bubble, right? So take an example. Let's say I have to move my house from one rented place to another rented place. It would be best if I can leave on the last day of my tenancy and join on the first day of tenancy. But then I have to take care of a lot of things. So what I will do, I will probably take a overlapping contract. So maybe I have 10 days left on my contract. I got a new house and now I started moving my workload there or my stuff there. So for 10 days, I was basically paying for two accommodation, isn't it? Same thing may happen here.
Right.
You are in your on-prem environment, and till testing completes, until you verified everything, you may keep your cloud environment and on-prem both running. So that is what the migration bubble is. So what migration bubble can be there? It could be one-time activities that increase cost during migration, like planning and assessment. Maybe you will hire a consultant, maybe you will hire a professional services team, then you will be performing your staff training, so there would be cost on that. Third party tooling, if you are using for migration, or let's say you want to encrypt your data before you migrate, or you want to perform a compression on the data, and maybe you would have some cost for duplicate environment too. And if your data center is having a lease penalty, like you're breaking the lease earlier, you may have to bear that cost too. So that is what migration bubble would look like. So be ready for that. But now there was a question that how we can avoid a migration bubble. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is what a reality is when cloud migrations actually happen.
Sure.
Makes
Thanks,
sense?
Sashi. That really makes it clear. Um, but how do I go about this? Are there any programs or tools or frameworks I can follow so that I'm on the right track?
Yeah, means that's true. See, give me a minute. I'll just bring some water.
Sure.
So probably you are not the first customer partner who is coming to cloud, right?
Right.
AWS is helping lot many customers, and they've been doing migration from long time. So from this long time, we have developed some best practices. We have developed lot of best practices to follow, some patterns to follow, and that is where we put them together into a program called MAP. So I'll explain that. But again, I want to explain things from analogy perspective. So let's go back to our people migration journey. If I give you my example, Parna, so I was working in Dubai, and then from there I migrated to London to join AWS. So obviously at that time,
Okay.
AWS facilitated all my transition. What I mean by that, that they ensured that I was able to get all the required support I needed for that. Because migration is not easy, right? It's not like
Right.
you just wake up in second day and then you are on a different place and you start everything as it is. It takes time to get settled. So what AWS did, they hired consultancy firms, or hiring companies will do them on themselves. What they did, they started my immigration process. So they had to secure some visa for me to come to London. So they hired a consultancy firm and they took care of immigration. Similarly, they took care of my ticketing also. So ticketing was taken care by AWS. My shipping was done by them. So they hired a company, and that company coordinated with me to get my all the stuff I wanted to bring in. That is what was there. Then they provided me some funding also, because when I come to London, I'm not having a house ready to move in. I may have to stay in hotel for some time, right? Maybe I have to get some things sorted like school for my kids. So that kind of all funding support was provided to me, and then they provided temporary housing for me, and that ensured that I was able to settle in properly. Plus, they helped me in getting registered to amenities also. Like maybe I have to register into health insurance services. Maybe I have to consult to a GP, which is we call general practitioner in UK. Maybe I have to get my kid to the school. So all these were created by them or facilitated by them. So they know what
Okay.
is needed for a migration of a person. Immigration, ticketing, shipping, funding, then housing and amenities is required. Same thing can be done on the cloud migration front too. So when I talk about cloud migration, what AWS has done, AWS has a program running which we call AWS Migration Acceleration Program, MAP. And MAP is one of the founding stone for all the migration need for the customer. And through this program, what we do, we help you with the methodologies required for migration. Then we will give you the tools. These tools could be third-party tools or internal tools of AWS. So that will help you in migrating or assessing your environment. We will be connecting you with the partners, like you are already working with a partner or you already have a relationship with big partners. So we will connect you with them. Plus, we will give the investment. So the migration bubble cost was there, right? So we can say,
Right.
okay, we will go ahead and absorb some of the cost which you will have because of that migration bubble. So that investment is provided by AWS to you in terms of maybe AWS credits, so maybe in terms of training, maybe in terms of support you need to migrate your application, or partners are also funded from this particular program. Trainings which is needed for your team to be successful into the cloud, so that will also be taken care, and that is what we will provide, that all these things as a services for you. So like a structured approach for everything from assessment to migration and mobilization and modernization and cost optimization, AWS supports you through MAP program. Does it make
That
sense?
sounds really helpful. But how does one enroll into this program? And do I have to go through a partner for this?
So you could directly approach to AWS for this particular program, but it is executed through partners. So once you
Okay.
have identified an opportunity that, okay, this customer is looking for migration and there is a specific threshold that customer had to meet, if customer already have a discovered partner, good. Otherwise, we could recommend some partners to them and they can start working with them together. So it is can be initiated on your own, but at the end it will make sense to work with a partner, because a partner has already perfected the way of migration to AWS. They know about all the funding mechanism within AWS. They know about the best tool to use. They know about the pitfalls to avoid. So best would be to work with them. Does it make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. And could you tell me a little what goes into each of these phases: assess, mobilize, and migrate, modernize? I would like a breakdown of each step as well.
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, as the name says, these are like very self-explanatory, but it is good to understand them in detail. So when we talk about assessment, let's talk about a migration of yours. Let's say I am planning to move to a different place. Now I need to know what I all have. Do I have pets? Do I have double bed? Do I have a wardrobe? Do I have a electric heater? What type of things I have? So that is all I need to capture is called inventory. So we will first do a inventory. So in assessment, you check first what you have. Then you will prepare a business case. Like let's say you are moving a job. So you not prepare a formal business case, but at least you do calculation. Okay, I am currently working at X company. I want to move to Y. What benefit I am getting? Is it a salary hike? Is it a position hike? Is it a new technology? Is it something else? So that's what you do assessment. So you first do inventory of what you have. Then you prepare a business case, which is a commercial document in a way which tells what are the benefit you will be getting. And once this is ready, you would then perform a little bit more deep discovery on that. Then you would be planning how the migration would go ahead. Afterward, you would be creating a landing zone. Same like if I'm moving to another country, I have to ensure I have a hotel booked to stay there for at least some time, right? And then I can move to my permanent place. The same way, I have to know if I'm coming to UK where I should land. Should I come to London, or should I go to Newcastle, or should I go to Cardiff, depending on where I'm working? So that landing zone would be created, and then you would be having your workload migrated and your data migrated. So on a very high level, this is how your phases would look like: assessment, mobilize, and migrate and modernize. And within them, inventory, business cases, deep discovery, planning, landing zone creation, workload migration, and data migration would happen. Right?
That's great. Yeah. So, which are the partners who specialize in this? Can you give me a brief idea about those?
Yeah, so lot many partners, and I'm not going to be able to cover every single partner here. So what AWS has tools and services to help you in every single section of whatever we have discussed here. And then a lot of partners work with us too. So they have created their own niche solution which can fit into different places. Let's say I want to have a landing zone created, so I can go for bspin global. I want to do data migration, I can take help of NetApp product. So it depends. But yeah, there is a plethora of partner, and this is just a partial list which can help you with your migration journey. And then there are other things also available, like in marketplace, you can find different tools, different application which can help you with your migration. Should not be a problem at all. So huge number of products available to help you out.
That's great. So, there are a lot of options, but what if I just want to go with AWS tools and services? So, which are those services that I can avail of?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So yeah, AWS has a lot of services to help you out, and sometimes it becomes confusing. So what I try to do here, I try to show some services which will align to specific phases, and some services may go from one phase to another phase also. So let's talk about these particular services. So there is something called AWS Migration Evaluator, which can help you in getting all the inventory and business case preparation. Then you can also do inventory using CloudWatch, and you can use Systems Manager also for that. Plus, we have application discovery service, and if time permits, I'll show you a demo of this. This service helps you in inventory collection, business case, deep discovery, and planning phases. So discovery service is really useful service here. Then you would be also having some services for from partners, right? So there is a assessment which we call MRA, and that assessment will help you with your readiness to cloud. There is something called CART. So these are like assessment which helps you in putting together a business case to show to your executive. And then there could be something like migration portfolio assessment. This is done by partners. So partners should be able to show you how all this portfolio works and what services you have, what would be the business case, what planning you need, how many waves you would need for migration. That is all done by migration portfolio assessment. And then you can create landing zone using control tower and service catalog. Plus you have option for workload migration using EVS, which we'll be covering into next sections. Then MGN service is there. Then we have a lot of services for data migration, like storage gateway, then Snow family services, transfer family services. So these all give you the best way of migrating from one place to another place. And as a project manager, you would also need to know where I am currently in my migration journey. I have 10,000 applications. How many of them migrated? How many of them are still waiting? So that I can get from Migration Hub. So if you see the bottom line Migration Hub, it aligns to every single phase of your migration journey. So from assessment to mobilize to migrate and modernize, you could come to a central place and see everything into one single place. Does it make
All
sense?
right. Yeah, so this is a nice snapshot of the entire journey, but I'm specifically really keen to know which particular service can I use to actually gather information about my servers, my databases, etc. And which service can I use to actually monitor and track my migration? These are the two things I'm really keen to know about. Apart from that, obviously, my organization might have certain gaps that we might identify on the way. How do I know that we are ready for this migration? Out of these tools that you mentioned, are there any specific ones I can use? Can you
Yeah,
highlight those?
Miss, exactly. So let me show some of the tools here. So depending on what your current IT snapshot is. Now, IT snapshot is not just application. It could be your inventory, it could be configuration file, it could be your automation document. So these all current IT snapshot can be captured through different services. So first thing is why we are migrating. So we need to build a business case to show to our top management, and then they would agree or disagree. So for that we
True.
have tools. Then what we want to migrate, then we have how ready we are for migration, then we need to know where we are in our migration journey. So what I did here, I just mapped different services which align to different phases of your migration. So if somebody asks you what we want to migrate, then you can take help of application discovery service or take help of your migration evaluator and get your application migrated. Then
Okay.
how ready we are for migration, then that time I can run my assessment like MRA and CART. Where are we in current our journey, that time you can leverage Migration Hub to get started. So these all services put together would give you a holistic view of where you are and how you want to migrate. I'll show you some demo of application discovery service, so that will give you understanding on how these components work together, right?
Great. Great. So I'm guessing application discovery service is the one which is actually going to be gathering information from my servers, databases, network connectivity. That's the one that is the main one which collects data, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the services I would say, Parna, because there are a lot of partner solutions also available. And it may be
Okay.
possible that you already have the data into your configuration management database. So we could get
Right.
that data from CMDB also. But in case needed, let's say, hey, I don't know, I want to start from scratch, I do not have inventory, then obviously in those kind of cases, we can take help of application discovery service. And even if you have inventory that I have 5,000 servers, fine. Do you know actually what CPU they are using? How much is their average utilization?
No.
What is their network connection? So for those type of things, you can leverage application discovery service. So this service is a really important service, and this will help you in gathering all the information required for your successful migration. So let me quickly walk you through that. We know we have 10 minutes only before the behavioral track start. So that's fine. I'll be a little quick, but I'll try to explain what we can do. So from this particular service, we can collect server and database configuration data. We can get server's name like IP, MAC addresses, CPU utilization, memory, and disk usage on that. What database they are running, what engine, what version, which edition. Then we can also use this data to help you create proper resources on that. So maybe I have a server with 10 CPU and on-prem. What would be my equivalent EC2 instance when I move to cloud? So that kind of sizing of resources can happen. We can use agent to track network activity, because maybe I have a server who talks to a database talks to Active Directory, my front end talks to a DNS server or to a firewall. So how I know this network communication, that is all done by this application discovery service. And this is no charge service. You could get started with
Oh,
it. You only pay for the data you are collecting or analysis you are performing on that. So that is what application discovery service is. Okay.
okay. So I we pay only for the resources that it's using, right?
Exactly.
Not.
So let's say
Okay.
you are now analyzing the data on a QuickSight dashboard, or you are running a Athena query to get information from that data. So you pay for those resources, and the data you are storing in Amazon S3, obviously there is a charge associated with that.
Got it. Okay.
Good.
All right. So, but how do I use ADS? Is there some kind of hardware or software I need to install on my servers?
Yeah, so it depends on what your current environment is. Depending on that, you should be able to create some architecture for your data discovery. So let's consider a very simple application where you have your Windows or Linux machines running on your data center, right? So what I would need for that, I would be getting some data from these. Now, you may run these as your bare metal services, like you have physical hardware and Windows are running on top of it, or Linux is running on top of it, or you could have running it on VMware. So we could collect data from both places if the need be, and that is what we call agent-based and agent-less data collection. So let me explain that. So it is also possible that you already have data. You could come to AWS and say, hey, I have these 10,000 server, this is their memory utilization, this is their CPU, and give me a business case associated with that. So this all data can be pushed to AWS region where application discovery service is running. So this data either from existing inventory or from an agent installed on your bare metal servers, that is what called agent-based discovery, or if your machines are running on VMware vCenter. So you do not need to go to every VM and install the agent. What you could do, you could install a agentless collector, which is basically a virtual machine, and that virtual machine will understand all your machine infrastructure through vCenter, and that data would be then pushed to application discovery service. So either you can bring your existing data, or you could bring data from agent installed on the machine, or you could create agentless discovery using this virtual machine which is deployed on vCenter server. So these are the three input mechanism for application discovery service. Make sense?
Makes sense. So,
And
so is there some
good.
kind of difference between these two type of agents?
See, data is collected is same, but the difference is like here we have a little bit more management overhead. If I have 5,000 servers, I have to go to every server and install this agent, isn't it? Right. And then
Right.
here, what I would be able to do, I may have, let's say, 5,000 server, but they are running on, let's say, 50 hosts. So I would need just deployment on this one space, and I should be able to get this all information from there. Yes, there are some
Okay.
technical differences. I'll show you that into next slide, like what kind of data is collected in an agentless versus an agent-based mechanism. So I'll show you that. But what happens here, this whole data would be able, you would be able to see into Migration Hub, which is a central place, and then your user can monitor the progress of this data collection through Migration Hub. Then this data will be in S3 bucket. So on that S3 bucket, you can run your Athena queries if the need be, and you can perform your queries on Athena if needed. And then you would be able to visualize this data also into Amazon QuickSight if the need be. That can be provided to your user. So these are the mechanisms of the data once collected can be used in different manners if required. Now I'll be a little quick here. So what we do for both of these are the differences here, like what we can correct, what kind of data is collected, will be able to discover databases or not. So I'll send you the slide, so you should be able to get more information on that. But I want to help you understand on the installation part of the agent. So it is a Linux-based or Windows-based software which you install. So you would need an IAM credential because this service would send data to AWS. So what we do here, we provide this access key, install the software like this ADS agent, and this will start sending data to application discovery service, and you can then start browsing that data if the need be. So that's what will be happening when you start this particular process. What I'll show you quickly things on the console so you can relate to what I'm saying rather than just listening it onto screen. So give me a minute. I'll bring up a screen and show you these things. Let me know when you can
Sure.
see the screen.
Yes, I can see it.
So what I have picked up here, I have picked up something called a Migration Immersion Day workshop from AWS, and we'll share this link afterward so people can practice on their own whatever I'm showing you here. So I'll go to this Migration Hub, and I have already installed agent on some machine, and that agent has started sending data to me. So I'll see that information into my Migration Hub. Here we can see there are different options for server, application, tools. I would go into data collectors. So agent has already been installed, and I am seeing this information here. So what I can see, import agent less collector, and my is a discover agent. So yesterday I have deployed these machines or agent on these machine, and we started collecting this data. And as you could see, we started on 5th September, and it is still collecting data on this particular time. So it is understanding what
Right.
workloads are running, what kind of CPU is there, what kind of memory is there, and these machines would start showing up into your server section here. So that Offbase server which I looked into, this is shown me here. So this is one of the server which is Offbase DB onprem.env. I could click on that and I would be able to know all the details of that host, like what is my host name, MAC addresses, I am running on a hypervisor or am I running on a physical machine, how much CPU and disk, what is the total memory, and this is performance data. So this helps you in understanding what kind of EC2 machine you would need on AWS once you migrate it. And that process is also automated. If you look here, there is something called EC2 instance recommendation. So based on this data, it can tell you, okay, for this machine, you should go for a C5.large, or you should deploy M5.extra large machine for that. So that I can gather from this particular server here. Does it make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, now that you showed it to us, I can totally visualize how it's collected the data, and using this information, the correct sizing and the recommendation is also given. So that really makes our life easy. Yeah, makes
Yes,
sense.
and one more thing here I want to highlight is the network connection, because that's sometimes people struggle with. So now I could clearly go ahead here and see, okay, this is my DB server. It is making connection to this server 18 dot something, and it is making connection, or web server is talking to this server. So when I'm migrating them, I have to ensure that I'm migrating the whole application, not individual server. Otherwise, it will fail. And what about this server? So I click on that, and it will tell me, okay, this server has further data being connected, or this some communication is happening between these devices. So this whole topology would be mapped by this application discovery service for you, rather than you manually taking care of the thing. Let this service discover everything, and once that all the servers are discovered, you should be able to then group them as application, check their network visualization, and start migrating also. So if you see here, I have not started migration, but I could start with the migration if I need to. So this is how all this information is captured using this particular service, which is application discovery service, and it is pushing its data to the migration hub, where I can perform all the orchestration and actual migration of it. And quick thing here, so let's say I have these many servers, right? Now, out of these servers, I don't know which are part of one application. So here I can create a logical grouping. So I could go ahead and say here, create applications. I can call it, this is my Office app server. What is this Office app server? This is a logical grouping, and what is inside this application? Maybe it is made up of few servers, so I can add those servers here. So I have my this Office server, this one, and I have my this web server. So I have then added these two as a logical entity, which I would call as a application. And when I migrate, I would ensure that both of these servers are migrated together, so the whole application get migrated, not just one single server. So those logical grouping, and I can do wave planning, that maybe in first wave I will go ahead with 10 application, next wave 20 application, critical application will be migrated at the very end. So all of these can be done using this particular service.
Yeah, this is
Does
really
it make
great
sense?
because all the dependencies are seen very clearly.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
yeah,
Great.
that's good. Yeah.
So what I would encourage people who are participating to check this migration immersion day, and they give you an environment where you have a setup like this, where a web server and databases are deployed, and then you are able to get this data into Athena, perform the query, and then get data into other services, and then perform actual migration. So that is all possible through your application discovery service, and I will give you a link in the resources section where you should be able to practice all these things here. Great. So I
Thank you
think we
so
are
much,
on
Ashish.
time.
Yeah.
Wish we had
Yeah.
more time, but obviously there are a lot of things to cover. And see, it's not like I was able to explain you everything, Parna. So I explained you very basic stuff. But if you look at the all the week agenda, we are building on these knowledge. So we know about assessment. Okay, then what we need to do for VMware workload, then what we need to do for data. So that is how we are making a progressive journey. And by the end, you would be able to do a migration and as well as modernization of your application. So I'll stop here. And now we move on to the next section where we have Prasad, who would have a fireside chat with Asa. But thanks, Parna, and hope I was able to answer some of your questions. So I'll add
Yes.
Prasad first, and then we'll see you into the next section. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Ashish. Look forward to your other sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Parna and Ashish. It was amazing. I learned a lot. Thank you so much for the role play also. Yeah, it was very interesting to see it coming live like this.
Great. And Let's go ahead and add Asa also. I'm adding Asa. Good. Hey Asa, how are you doing?
I am good. I'm trying to look at my video.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go off screen and I'll let you and Prasad have a conversation. But yeah, thanks for joining. I know it's odd time on Saturday, so but thanks for being here. I'll get disconnected from here.
Thank you, Ashish. As I will wait for
I'm
your
having trouble with my video.
How is it?
Do you know how I turn it back on?
Maybe sometime it is a permission issue. If you're a browser or at the top, if it shows a video icon, then maybe allow or disallow would be there.
Or if you want to just join back using
join
the same
back, no problem at all.
Let me do that.
Free.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good discussion, Prasad, and I can see a lot of questions are coming, and thanks everyone who is participating by asking question or answering question. Too much information, I would say.
Yes, a lot of questions. Like, I wish we had another half an hour because there are so many questions on ADS, dive deep and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and now let me add Asa.
Okay.
Sorry. I'll add it. That's good. We hear you now and see you now.
Perfect.
Thank you. Good. Go ahead.
It was a good chat, Ashish. I enjoyed your journey of immigration analogy. That was very cool.
Yeah, we call Ashish analogy guru because he explains every concept with an analogy, actually.
It was really
but
nice.
Great. Thank you, Asa, for joining. I'm thrilled to welcome you, to our Fireside chat today. And before we dive deep into our conversation, I would like to know a bit more about your journey and your current role at AWS.
Of course. First of all, thank you for having me here. Prasad, I can't see your video. I don't know if it's just on my end or can others see it? There you go. Okay.
Okay.
I can see you. Well, thank you for having me here. I'm Asa. I lead our Migration and Modernization services in AWS. So this subject that you're discussing is near and dear for me. Little bit about my journey here. There's two things that have been constant in my journey. One is entrepreneurship and the second one is analytics. And if I look at my history over here, I've done 2 startups and I've launched 5 AWS services, like from ground zero to full external service. So that's sort of one thing that has been constant through my career. And analytics, right from my PhD work which was in optimization to doing a startup in data and analytics to what I'm doing now, it's been a constant evolution of that journey as well. So those are the 2 things that I stand for. And specifically within that, currently I lead our migration modernization services, which we'll talk about a little bit in the next few minutes or so. Prior to doing this, I've been in AWS now close to 10 years. And prior to doing this, I was leading the transformation of our internal sales and marketing tools. And that was a very interesting journey because I could put myself in the shoes of our customers that are looking to transform themselves. And the challenge we had was we had lots of different tools, lots of different repetition, duplication, and we needed to create a AI-based customer-first product for our sales and marketing teams, the tens of thousands of go-to-market specialists that we have. And so what we built was a completely new application, which was then taking advantage of AI for next best actions, best sales trajectory, and so on. I did that, and then prior to that, I launched a few services in the hybrid space. Ashish was describing earlier some of the things like storage gateway, transfer services, data sync. I had my fingers on some of those. So I've lived in the shoes of our customers who are looking to move from on-prem to the cloud. So that's sort of been my journey for the last 10 years. And I founded and ran 2 startups for about 10 years before that. And I started my career at Bell Labs doing research in lots of fun areas. So that's a bit about me.
That's an impressive career journey, and you're being very modest in telling about such great achievements. Thank you so much. And for everyone, when Asa says that she leads migration modernization services at AWS, like she is the VP and single-threaded leader and all of the AWS services that are there for migration modernization. She is the one responsible for it. So we will dive deep into that, Asa, because let's go a bit deep, and let's start from, you talked about you also worked with customers a lot. So what do you consider are the most complex challenges that enterprises face in migrating and modernizing their workloads to cloud? And how is your team and AWS in overall is solving those problems?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I speak to at least one customer every couple of days, and I've spoken to hundreds of them. And I think if you step back, why are these customers looking to migrate and modernize, right? At the heart of it is because they want agility. They want to move from more hard, take advantage of the cloud, take advantage of the scale, the performance, the resilience, all the things that we at AWS can help our customers. And that's been, we've been doing that for almost 20 years now. But what has accelerated that need to migrate, modernize now is the advent of GenAI. So if you think of customers, they're all in a rush to figure out, how can I create this chatbot? How can I create this optimization for this workflow? And for all of that, they need the services, the data to be accessible. They need to be innovate quickly, bring in open source. So that's kind of created a huge velocity increase in why customers want to migrate. And then modernization comes along with that as well, because once you've moved, you need to continuously keep up with new versions and new frameworks and new technology. So it's created this big urgency for customers to migrate and modernize in this world. And now if you step back, let's think about the challenges, right? I think I cannot do a better job than what Ashish did on why it is hard to move and give up something that you were used to for doing in so many years and then move to the cloud. But if you think about it at the next level of the technical challenges here, it's about, how do I get access to all the skills? I need people who are skilled on-prem, and I need people who are skilled in the cloud. These services are working today. So how do I make sure that what I've launched is correct? It's risk-free. So the validation, the skills, all of these create new challenges for our customers to be able to move there and be able to take advantage of the cloud.
Yeah, exactly. So that's amazing. And then, I would like to understand a bit more about a concrete customer example, let's say, like how probably like we have helped customer, migrate and modernize. Any specific example that comes to your mind?
Oh, there's so many of them, but I'll give you a couple example scenarios in different use cases, right? So if you think about the VMware use case, or in general, the server migration, which is also a little bit about what Ashish talked before on, there's customers that are in even a higher urgency to move because of the Broadcom licensing changes. They want to take advantage of the cost savings in the cloud. And so I've recently worked with a customer who had 6,000 VMs that needed to move from on-prem to the cloud because their license was expiring and they needed a quick way to move that. And with that, it comes with all the inventory mapping. It's the actual server movement. But a big part of this is also, how are you going to deploy it in the cloud? How do you make sure that your post-cloud deployment checks are in place? Is it in the right accounts? So, and then one of the challenges that we found with this particular customer was, it's one thing to move servers, that's good. But then beyond that, you also want to move other things, networking and security. I'm sure all the audience over here is technical, hands-on folks that have spent hours trying to put together, hey, this is my spreadsheet. These are all the IP address blocks. This is what I want to move into. These are the permissions and ACLs, and what do I need to do on the other end? So all of these things were so complex. And so when we worked with them, it's like, hey, now, and I'll tell you a little bit about AWS Transform in a bit, but with this, what we did was, hey, give them automated ways to discover your network topology, map it to the equivalent in the cloud, auto-generate the networking, the security groups. And with that, that piece, which was really error-prone, got reduced. So what would take 2 weeks could now be done in 8 hours, and that really saves time. And then we have partners. You mentioned partners as well earlier. So Slalom, for example, is a partner, or other such partners who are actually taking this and helping customers move and reduce that risk that comes up. So that's sort of in the server migration space. I do want to talk a little bit about mainframes. Not too many people here on this group may be hands-on with mainframes, but I find that a very fascinating problem. Like, mainframes have been around for 50, 60 years. And some of the most complicated workflows run on that today. You're taking a flight, you're withdrawing cash, you're doing your retail transaction. Majority of that cannot happen without these mainframes. So they're super important. But now, for all those reasons I mentioned earlier, with the lack of skills, the urgency to move, customers do want to move that to the cloud. And so we've had a customer recently who took their old mainframe code. Like there's lots of examples, but take Jonas Fitness, for example. They had this application. They run sports clubs across the country, and they needed ways to quickly make that more modern and get away from their mainframe code. They were able to do this. We have some customers who send us pictures where, hey, I just disconnected, moved that last workload, and here my mainframe is being shipped out of my data center, so I can now completely be in the cloud. So there's a lot of these customers who have this urgency to move to the cloud that is driving this. Let's take the modernization example. One of the customers that we are working with right now is Thomson Reuters. So they do a lot of applications in the legal tracking space, and they had hundreds of applications that were all in the old Windows technology. Now, many of you may know that you have .NET framework, which was developed 20 years ago, and there's still 30-40% of the applications that are running on that. And they want to move them to the modern .NET Core. They can move it into open source and move their SQL servers and all of that. And so we worked with Thomson Reuters or the Hartford Insurance. All of these customers are taking their Windows workloads and moving those to the cloud. So there's a lot of these examples, and really it's driven by the urgency to move, but they want to do it right. They want to make sure they have the right performance, the scale, and compress that journey, because while migration modernization is important, that's not the end result. That is a means to getting to business transformation, right? So the more we help customers with that piece, the faster they can realize value in the new world.
Great examples, and I love the way that you explained for both the migration and not just a server migration, but also mainframe, right? And when we talk about mainframe, I have when I started my career journey, few of my friends went into the mainframes, and after a decade, they were like, my skills have become obsolete. What do I do? And that's what I try and tell people that when you talk about cloud, right, all the skills that you have acquired working on-prem or any other technologies, they're all transferable to cloud. It's just about upskilling. Exactly. And now with AI coming in, I see a question in the chat that is AI going to take the cloud jobs? It's all about upskilling, right? It's about once you upskill, and there is a saying that goes on a lot. AI is not going to replace your job. It's the people who use AI is going to replace your jobs. So as soon as you start on this bandwagon of using AI, that will be more easier. And we'll talk a little bit more about AI, Asa. But before that, you talked about how we at AWS are helping these customers, and you gave some really good examples. I would like to dive deep a bit more into this about, we have so many field teams, and you have been, as you said, that you have worked on creating these tools for the field teams. Can you dive deep a bit more and talk about different roles that we have in the field teams that help customers migrate and modernize, and dive deep a bit more on solutions architect role, that how we work there?
Yeah, I think our field teams, we think of us as a big group that's helping our customers on this journey. So I'm on the service team side, so we'll build products that our customers use. But we work very closely with, right from our account managers that are working directly with the relationship with the customer, and then we have our professional services folks that help with the actual hands-on work, and then solution architects, TAMs, the technical account managers, and the customer success managers are some of the more technical roles that really help the customers. So the TAMs are helping engage with, hey, what are your strategies? How are we going to bring that back? Are they running into any issues? And customer success managers are going to help after you've launched and making sure that the product is working as desired. But the solution architects play a very, very important role in this entire journey. And I'm not saying this just because I'm on this call, but SAs are some of my best friends when I work with on the field, because they help the customer understand what problem they have. So like Ashish was showing earlier, the app discovery service, helping them get the inventory, assessment, planning. That's a big place where SAs play a role. When they're actually doing the migration, they're helping the customer, unblocking them. Then after they've been launched and successful, they're helping them with the next set of applications or helping them design the well-architected solutions. The other things that SAs do is also a lot of thought leadership. So, for example, I know you yourself wrote some of the blogs when my service was being launched. And there's so many of these essays that help us write about the details about what we are doing. The essays also play a very important role in bringing customer feedback back to us, because I spend a lot of time with customers, but not everybody can do all of this. So you are the scale mechanism to get input from a lot of customers, see the common patterns, and be an advisor to the service teams on, hey, these are the patterns we are seeing. and then you become the first guinea pigs to test out our services. So, I mentioned I've launched so many new services, and the SAs are the ones that are going to be the hands-on folks that are testing the service. We do these bug bashes where they tell us what's working, what's not working, and really be that barometer to us from what the field needs. And then the most other interesting thing is SAs are also now playing a really important role when they're thinking about AI. And I'm really itching to talk about AWS Transform, but I know we're going to get there. But these, some of our SA friends, they have been, in fact, you mentioned mainframe skills going less important, but I have some really great friends in the SA organization who know the mainframe world, that have completely embraced AI. And now they're coming up with ideas on, hey, I had this COBOL code, now I can convert it to Java, doing these things. So they're also creating these quick prototypes which they can bring back and help us scale. And they also show thought leadership back to our customer on how we are doing things hands-on. So many different ways in which SAs create value for our customers and our internal users to be that bridge between the customer and our products.
Yes, very well said. And yeah, as I says, we do spend a lot of time with our customers, understanding their problems and see how we can implement solutions for them, and also get the feedback and pass it back to service team. As I mentioned, like I am right now in India because from Monday I have a customer EBA. EBA is experience-based accelerator, and we will cover that in the future sessions if possible in the behavioral track. But where we spend like hands-on experience with the customer, coming up with a scenario and streams and showcase how it can be achieved. And Asa, you would be happy to know that this EBA is more about .NET application modernization. Customer has had like .NET framework applications for long, and now they are looking to modernize them. And so I'll pass on any feedback that we get from the customer.
Please do.
Yeah. Cool. Now let's switch gears to AI, right? Like I know that AWS Transform is an important topic that we would like to cover. So yeah, how this AI is going to change the way organizations migrate and modernize?
Yeah. So, it's a kind of an obvious question in this world, but if you think about, our 20 years of experience, everything we've talked about, learning what customers do, and now if you add AI to the mix, we can completely change the game on how you can do migration modernization. And you can use it to do everything from the analysis to be faster, to be able to generate code, to be able to do validations. And so with that in mind, that's actually what we did with launching AWS Transform. So that's a new service that went live about 3 months ago. May 15th was our GA date. And the goal for AWS Transform is really to make migration modernization simple and fast, right? And so all the things that we saw earlier in Ashish's diagram, right, from assessment, discovery, business case, movement, deployment, validation, all of those things can be completely transformed with AI. And that's what we've done with Transform. So now with AWS Transform, you have all of them in one place to go. So that will become your one hub to do all your migration modernization projects. And the way we use AI is really in 3 key ways. One is we've got these really core foundational expert agents that are great at certain tasks. So think about your .NET example that you gave. How do I convert from old .NET to a new .NET framework? Maybe SQL servers along with that, or even message queues and all. So these become expert tasks. Or in the mainframe world, how do you go from COBOL to Java for or how do you convert from IMS databases? Or in the VMware world, that network translation example that I gave you. So all of these components can now be completely rethought in the world of AI. And so what we've done in Transform is created these task agents that are unique for these different functions. So think of them as experts that are good at certain tasks. And then we have a goal-driven super agent that can invoke these tasks based on what the customer wants to do or what the SA is doing for our customers. So that's the agentic workflow that is built on top of these individual expert agents. And then this whole experience is driven through a collaborative chat-based experience. So if you think about how a migration project is done, it's rarely a solo project. You have lots of people. You have the solution architects helping, you have the customer, you have sometimes a partner, you have the CFO trying to figure out what's going on in this, right? So it's a big collaborative project. And so how do you bring everybody together? How do you make that shared experience? And a lot of the interaction with the chat GPT world, everybody wants things to be in a much more, hey, tell me what this means. Don't give me just the data and dashboards. So with the combination of expert agents, this collaboration and goal-driven orchestration, that's kind of what we've done with AI in AWS Transform. And what that means to us is what projects that could take years now can be done in months, if not faster. And with this, we are now automating the analysis pieces. And so instead of having a PowerPoint sent to you every month, you can now do a quick chat-based analysis for assessment. How is what is my on-prem inventory? What is the TCO going to be? What if I change from these instance types to a different instance type? You can immediately get that TCO. So that's possible only because of AI. You're converting from COBOL to Java. You can use AI for a lot of that functionality. The verification of how do you know that what you started with is what you're ending with. Test generation. So all of these places, now you can use AI to change the velocity with which you can do things and reduce some of that risk that is required. And it makes our sales folks and our customers much more efficient in doing this.
Yes. So you touched upon some really good points here. Chat-based interface for migration. Like generally what happens is for migrations, there are so many silos happening. Bringing them all together on one platform and having the collaborators chat with it is really helpful. So for folks who have, we will be covering AWS Transform in detail in week 3 for migration, for VMware migrations, and in week 6 for .NET. So you will be able to understand, what we are talking about here when you will see the actual agentic AI experience. Like Ashish today showed on a high level how application discovery service works. We will show in our week 3 that how it is going to be wrapped in AWS Transform umbrella, so that you have this whole agentic AI experience of doing the tasks via ADS, where you will not be doing it, AI agents will be doing it on your behalf. And that's where the whole human in the loop comes into picture. So that's what I was really impressed was with AWS Transform, the whole new web-based UI and the user interface that makes it very intuitive for the users who are working with it, because you can simply kind of chat with the UI interface as you're chatting with a human. Cool.
Yeah,
I see a lot
exactly.
of questions coming in the chat. I'll come to those questions, but before that, I would like to ask you about, how do you see AWS Transform evolving over the time? Like, what's your long-term vision for it?
Yeah. So with what we launched with AWS Transform a couple months ago, we focused on 3 workloads. So one was helping customers migrate from on-prem to the cloud, starting with VMs. And then over time, you want to make sure that that whole migration becomes easy. We also focused on Windows modernization because lots of customers want access to open source capabilities or more modern frameworks. So that was our second workload. And the third workload was mainframe modernization. So going from IBM z/OS systems to equivalents in the cloud. So that's what we started with. We have a long ways to go. There's so much innovation that is possible here. My vision at the end of the day is AWS Transform becomes the one place to go for all migration modernization projects. And it brings in that collaboration that you talked about. We want migrations to be simple and fast. And so go from, the 12, 18, 24 months that it takes to weeks and, potentially even days to do some of these migrations. And it should be just as easy. You're moving one laptop to the other. You don't think much, right? You just kind of migrate your stuff. So it should be that simple. And modernization should be continuous. It's not a one-time thing. Your new versions keep coming. Like we've done a lot of Java upgrades in AWS, which are much simpler now with the agents doing that. And so then you have new frameworks, new SDKs. You want to go from your brownfield customers that were ahead, but now they want to be continuous to be tracking the latest technology. So you want to help that. So modernization should be a continuous journey. Migrations should be quick, simple, and it should also be a place where everybody can participate. So one of the things that we just launched a couple months ago at New York Summit was the ability to do composable workflows. And what that means is, we've built some great agents. We're very proud of them, but our partners and SAs sometimes and our customers have their own tools that they've also been building. So how do you bring the best of their tools and our tools and really help this journey? So that's what we think about as composability, where partner tooling, customer tooling, and all can be brought into this one framework, and we really speed up migration. So that's kind of our vision, one place to go, but it's a combination of how we do it with our partners, all our global services integrators also have tools. So how do we bring them all together to speed up that journey and make it fast and simple? That's the two keywords there.
Amazing. And thank you so much for it. And before I take questions from the audience, one last question from me, and that's more focusing on the skills of an SA. Like SA needs to be technical, mainly if they are focusing more on migrating and modernizing. But apart from being technical, because see, like AI is going to replace or do a lot of heavy lifting. So what other skills SA should be focusing on so that they are relevant in this industry and can help customers in their migration modernization journey?
I think it's really about the customer, understanding the customer problem. Like at AWS, we talk a lot about the working backwards process, working with customers. And really, I've also done, like I said, many startups. And the key, the essays that are really successful are the ones that can hear what the customer problem is. Sometimes the customer may not exactly tell you what the solution is, but being able to understand the problem, synthesize it across a cohort of customers and say, okay, this is the theme that I'm hearing, and then be able to figure out how working back from that, how should I solve the problem. It's not about giving them a tool, it's not about pitching a certain service, it's about understanding what problem they have and how you can solve it. And that requires a deep listening and going deep dive into that customer's issues, but then tying that back into also delivering it in an iterative fashion, right? We want to think big, but we also want to quickly deliver results. So ultimately, how can you earn trust so that you can get that customer to take small steps to get them towards that journey? Because again, you're taking everybody along in that process. So it's a combination of thinking about the customer problem, bringing that back into a tractable solution, tying it with what we can do, and then also thinking about where is the problem going, right? You don't want to solve yesterday's problem, you want to think about where the business is going.
Yeah, a lot of human element would be required in this, and thanks for
Exactly.
sharing this. And we will be covering these like as I mentioned, working backward process. We'll be covering this I think in the week 3 on the behavioral track. So we have these topics that Asha mentioned in our agenda, where as an essay, what skills you need to acquire to succeed. Now I'll quickly, I know we are almost on time, but I'll quickly take 1 or 2 questions from the audience. One question that Asa has come here was, in recent times, I have had first-hand experience of business being reluctant to put a new solution on cloud due to higher operating costs. How to navigate those discussions with business heads?
I think the example that Ashish was giving before on how we do app discovery and the migration bubble, as you called it, I think the key is to be able to, again, understand what their costs are and help them with um, thinking towards how an optimized solution would look like with the overall TCO. So it's not just the cost of servers, but it's the cost of maintenance, the cost of support, the cost of inventing and building new solutions. We've seen that customers who are in the cloud have 40+% less security incidents, their velocity of deployments is higher. So it's a combination of things that gets them to that place. And so the way I typically approach this is obviously create this whole initial analysis and TCO representation, but then along with that also give examples. We've had hundreds and thousands of customers that have gone on this journey. So let's bring those case studies and help them understand. Sometimes customers are even happy to talk to each other and give advice. So we have a customer advisory board who comes together, who gives us advice, and they talk about amongst themselves on what themes they're seeing. So there's a long number of ways in which you can really help customers understand the benefits and really help them address their concerns.
Yes, and we as SAs, we try and find similar use cases in similar industry where customers have actually saved a lot, and then showcase that to our customers. And yeah, as you said, if we can make that cross customer collaboration directly, and so that their heads can talk to each other and they can share their learnings about how they were actually able to make a successful cloud migration. Yes, digital transformation and cloud migration is not easy, and there will be scenarios where there are chances that it might not go as you thought, right? So engaging early with the experts and ensuring that you are always on the right, correct, and course correct when required is really important.
Exactly.
Cool. Thank you, Asa. I thought I'll be able to take more questions from audience, but I know that we are on time now. So thank you so much for joining us. This was really engaging discussion. And, anyone who is on the chat and asking the questions, we will be able to answer your questions on the Discord channel. So feel free to, engage us with there. And I see Ashish on the camera.
Thank you so much for the conversation, and I hope you all enjoy these sessions. They seem really exciting. Thank you.
Thanks
you,
for
Asa.
being here, Asha. And yeah, a lot of questions were there, and you were able to answer, so that's good. Now, at the end of it, like I want to summarize, like what we are expecting people to do and what could be the next step for it. So let me quickly talk about that. So thanks everyone for asking questions. Keep them coming. I'm not sure if we were able to answer everything or not, but there were so many questions, and that is important. So what we will suggest as a next step for you, it is now your turn to act. First, complete the knowledge check. We'll be sending out emails soon, and then you should have a link to go ahead and perform that knowledge check. I would suggest even if you pass knowledge check, go ahead to the session again. Try to understand all the things Asa talked about, I talked about, because foundation is very important when you're doing migration. Your planning or preparation is very, very important. Then participate in the hands-on workshop. I'll give you the link where you will be able to participate and do these things. You would need your own AWS account, so make sure you watch out for cost. Even if it is few dollars of investment, it is worth doing rather than just doing nothing at all. So a few dollars, set a budget, and go ahead and do these workshops for yourself. Be active and support your peers. So if you know about something, a question is there, don't wait for us to jump into that question. If you know, share your thoughts. We can do this into Discord channel. We provided the link, so join Discord channel. That would be really useful. And please subscribe to YouTube also, because that helps in algorithm to get more viewers to the videos, and they can also benefit it from there. And the last thing, share your learning, learn out loud. Whatever you learn, put it on the share into the LinkedIn, any social media, and now you have a badge, a shiny badge to show it to the people. So go ahead and do all these things. So that's what I wanted to share. And if everyone is here, I still wanted to bring all of them to the stage, and thanks for answering all the questions we had so far. So if people who are supporting us in the chat, if you could be on the camera, that would be so nice. So I'm adding people. I have now Sharik, I'm adding Jeff to stage, and then not sure if others are still on the camera or not, but I'll at least add you. Feel free to switch on your camera, or if not, that's completely okay. But yeah, I hope everyone was able to understand few stuff and build network with these people. They are hardcore migration expert and expert of their field, so they should be able to help you out. We will try to answer as much as we can, but yeah, feel free to share your feedback too, so that we can improve all the session. Any last words, anyone who has been volunteering?
Yeah, think of this more of a community learning. So like during the
Exactly.
live sessions, we are here to help as much as possible, like, delivering the sessions, helping you on the chat. Like you have all the database experts here. As Tabby mentioned, like Jeff and Carol. I'm not sure if Carol is around. Yeah, Carol is around. So they are in the migration modernization team, and they're like, their day job is helping customers with that. And I believe Tabby at some point mentioned that she's working with 40 accounts simultaneously. I'm like, how do you even do that? So you are getting first-hand experience with these experts when you're chatting with them here. But on the Discord, we might not be having bandwidth to answer each and every question. So think about it as a community learning where you're helping each other to upskill. And then we will be, like obviously we'll be having badges and stuff. But people who are very active on Discord, we will be having some kind of appreciation for them also. Probably me and Ashish can send out our books to them, or a few other kind of, we will try and find a reward to people who are helping others more and more.
That makes sense. Any other last thoughts, anyone who joined us for first time?
I see a couple of folks are asking for the links which I shared earlier. So everybody, I've already posted them on the general channel in the Slack channel. Sorry, in the Discord. You will find all the 4 workshops which I mentioned earlier. So it's there for you to practice. Go ahead.
We will send it over the email, and we'll also put it in the Discord channel in the announcement section. So give us a couple of days, like till tomorrow, we should be able to send it out all the emails. Till that time, feel free to rewatch the recording.
Anyone else?
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you
Everyone.
into next week.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Take care. Bye.